Welcome back, and joining me now for a look at the day's markets action is David Shapiro from Sasfin Securities. David, thanks so much for joining us today. Now let's start off with general markets action. It has been a bit of a slow week in terms of corporate news, but we did have some economic data from the US that did sort of push up those US markets to record highs. Are we seeing that the push into the green on the back of those economic prints as well as the Fed minutes that came through?
Yeah, well, what's coming out is that the US economy is slowing, or to put it in Jay Powell's words, there's more of a balance between, in the labor market, between demand and supply. In other words, demand's starting to slow, which is a very good sign. And as a result of that, analysts are now starting to build in a rate cut September. I think we're going to probably get 2 rate cuts by the year end as well. Things are beginning to slow down. Even inflation is now, starting to ease. Maybe not to the kind of levels that everybody wanted, the 2%, but certainly the trajectory is helping markets. And globally, we're seeing more rate reductions in hikes. I think the period of rate hikes is over. So that's very good for equity markets. No matter how much we've been talking about it, when it happens, it does kickstart markets.
David, do you not think that markets are perhaps getting a bit too ahead of themselves? I mean, when I was reading the Fed minutes, Powell did still sound a bit hawkish, and his speech earlier in the week, he did sound a bit more hawkish than he was dovish.
The last thing he wants to do is give us a sugar rush. In other words, he doesn't want to feed the markets.
Okay.
They do all right without him. So they can
Clearly.
between the lines. So you know what I mean? It's like being with children. You're always admonishing. You're always strict with them. So don't think you're going to get anything from them. But we're not fooled. And also, what's happened? This much vaunted recession just has not materialized.
Yeah.
For 2 years we've been talking recession doesn't happen, and it's not going to happen. So I think the resilience of the US market and global markets, I think, is also giving us some kind of foundation for better markets. So when it happens, when we realize these things, you're going to see markets go better. And I must say one thing: the analysts, strategists of the big organizations have got it completely wrong.
Yeah.
They've just been so out of it, and so underexposed to equities, or advising underexposure to equities. So, the market's saying, okay, we've had enough of this. Let's just rock and roll.
It does seem like we've been in a period where everyone is just grasping on straws, and we're just trying to figure out where to next. Are rates being cut now? Are rates being cut in the next 2 months? It's just been a busy 2 years, David.
Well, no one's understood it. Least of all Powell and Fed governors. No one's really got a grasp of inflation. There haven't been textbooks that have accounted for what we've gone through, starting with COVID, where we stopped the world, we stopped the world economy, and the consequences weren't going to just right themselves in a few months. So I think a lot of things, the supply chain disruptions, all those issues, as well as then the war with Ukraine, have been very difficult to handle. So I don't for 1 minute criticize central bankers or strategists or people of that nature, but no one understood, and you didn't want to admit, listen, I don't really know what's happening.
Yeah.
But markets have given us the way, and so we go.
All right, let's move over to everything that's been playing out in Europe. It's been a big election week on that front. We had elections in the UK, and we have a second round of French elections over the weekend. Let's start off in Britain. Now, the Labour Party has won enough seats in the national election to have the majority in Parliament. Of course, this will result in Sunak stepping down. The last time I checked, investors seem pleased with this news. Markets are up. The pound is up. My gosh.
They're pleased that the election's over. That's all. I think markets hate uncertainty, and I don't think this was a surprise.
Yeah.
I think what was a surprise is just how far down the Conservatives have gone. But I mean, that's also been predicted or forecast. I mean, it's been an appalling time for them. So, if we look at the elections, all of them, nothing's really mattered. Even the
Yeah.
French election hasn't altered the shift of markets. They were down ahead of when Macron called the snap election, but I mean, after that, now that it's taken place and things are just stabilizing, settling down. So there's no major shocks. And even our markets,
Yeah.
are settling down again. We're now getting to the reality of what a government of national unity is going to look like. So we're on a positive path, on a slow path, but there's still a lot of things that we have to get over or digest. But the markets they just keep going.
I want to bring it back to those elections and what we've been seeing locally, and especially playing out with the rand. I feel like initially when we saw the GNU cabinet come into place, we did see some strength within the rand.
Yeah.
And then going into this week, about Wednesday, we did see some weakness. I think the rand even hit 1860 at some point. But coming towards the end of the week, we are seeing the rand strengthen yet again. It was sitting under 1830 the last time I checked. What's fueling this now? Is it just elections? Is it just the general positive sentiment we are seeing in global markets?
I think it's a dollar.
Ah.
It's really the dollar's going to come under pressure as rates start to come down there. We've seen their long rates, US long rates, fall, the 10-year, 2-year, wherever we look, rates have come down. And I think that's much more of an influence than the initial boost that we got from our elections here. So, we're in the 1820, 1830 range and so on. But you will find the dollar's now probably more of an influence until we've got to see some positive moves here. To change foreigners' attitudes and to get the money to flow in again. So watch the dollar. That's going to be the dominant market that's going to influence our currency.
David, before I let you go, what are you hanging your hat on today? What's your stock pick?
I started on Wednesday on NVIDIA. I wrote an article in Business Day this morning on NVIDIA. Why I chose it, I think that I say to people, it's a superb business, and it's really guiding the tech markets up. The whole AI story, it's not going to end soon. It will end. These stories always end, but for the meantime, you can just go with it. And if video falls, everything else falls. Now, I don't believe that's going to happen. So I'm saying, just enjoy the ride.
Ride the wave. David, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your insights today. That was David Shapiro from Sasfin Securities.